If you're watching this, it's probably late. Not late like 11:40 p.m. when people still pretend they're going to bed. Late like the hour has changed and the world has decided you don't exist anymore. Because daytime is a stage. Daytime has an audience. People perform. They answer. They smile at the right times. They remember to be a person. But after dark? After dark is when the mask gets heavy. After dark is when the house makes noises that it never makes at noon. After dark is when your brain starts replaying your life like a security camera feed. And you start noticing something. You have rules at night. You didn't write them down. No one taught them to you. But you follow them anyway. You don't whistle in the hallway. You don't go to the kitchen without turning on a light. You don't stare into a dark window too long because your reflection starts feeling like an opinion. And the biggest rule of all? You don't admit you're scared. You call it vibes. You call it anxiety. You call it too much caffeine. Anything except the oldest word for it. Fear. Tonight, I'm going to do something irresponsible. I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. I'm going to tell you the 3 a.m. rules. Not the cute ones. Not the ones that sound like clickbait. The real ones. The ones you already follow. And while we're here, I want you to notice something else. You're not alone. You think you are, because your room is dark and your phone is the only light in your life. But somewhere, in another room, in another city, someone else is awake at the same time. Also listening for footsteps that aren't there. Welcome to After Dark. Here's the first thing nobody says. Your house is not the same house at night. In the daytime, it's practical. A place to store your body between obligations. A charging dock. But at night, it becomes a map you don't fully trust. The hallway is longer. The corners are sharper. The air has weight. Even familiar rooms feel like they're waiting for you to do something stupid. And the worst part? It isn't always a paranormal feeling. Sometimes it's just your brain, running its ancient software. In the dark, your mind fills in missing information. A shirt on a chair becomes a person. A creak in the wall becomes a footstep. A distant car door becomes a signal. You know this. You've told yourself this. You've proven it 1,000 times. And yet, you still step a little faster when the lights are off. Because you don't fear what you can see. You fear what you can't confirm. That's why the night produces rules. Rules are how humans negotiate with uncertainty. We can't control the dark. So we control ourselves. We create rituals. We repeat patterns. We just happen to check the lock again, even though we checked it 5 minutes ago. And when the clock hits that hour, when the number changes and the world gets quiet, your rules get stricter. Because 3 a.m. isn't just late. It's symbolic. It's the hour your body is most tired, your mind is most honest, and your imagination is the most unemployed. So before we get into the official list, here's the disclaimer. This isn't a how to summon something video. This isn't a dare. This is a survival guide for the people who are awake when they shouldn't be. If you're watching this at 3 a.m., do not prove anything. Do not test anything. Do not see what happens. That's the whole point of the rules. The rules exist because something always happens. Rule number 1. Don't check the time twice. You know what I mean. You wake up in that half-dream state, mouth dry, heart slightly fast for no reason. You roll over. You check the time. And it says 3 o'clock. Your stomach drops. Not because you're late. Not because you have anywhere to be. Because 3 o'clock feels like you've walked into a room mid-conversation. So you do what everyone does. You check again. Just to make sure. But here's the problem. The second check is never just to make sure. The second check is negotiation. The first time is information. The second time is hope. Maybe it'll be 2:58. Maybe it'll be 4:12. Maybe I misread it. Maybe I can escape the number by looking away and looking back. And if it still says 3 o'clock, Then you start making it worse. You start counting. 301, 302, 303. You've turned time into a predator. You're watching it move. And time loves attention. Time gets louder when you listen to it. The trick is to treat 3 a.m. like a billboard on the highway. You don't stop and read it. You don't take a picture. You don't build a shrine. You glance. You keep moving. You don't make it a story. Because the moment you make it a story, you start casting yourself as the main character. And the night loves main characters. Rule 1 exists to protect you from your own brain. Because once your mind decides this hour matters, it will find reasons. It will remember old superstitions. It will replay scary clips you saw online. It will zoom in on every sound like a detective who's paid by the hour. Don't check the time twice. You don't want to know how long you've been alone with your thoughts. Rule number 2. Don't look in mirrors too long. This rule is older than electricity, older than bathrooms, older than the idea of self-care, because mirrors are normal in daylight. At night, a mirror is an argument. In daylight, your face is your face. You've seen it a million times. It's just a tool, a quick check, a maintenance routine. But at 3 a.m., your eyes look different. Your skin looks less human. The shadows under your face start spelling out a second expression, and you start doing the thing you're not supposed to do. You stare, not to fix something, not to check something, to see if something changes. And that's when the mirror turns into a screen. Have you ever noticed how quickly your brain starts suggesting things? That your reflection looks slightly wrong? That your smile doesn't match your eyes? That your face belongs to you, but it doesn't feel loyal? Staring at yourself in the dark triggers something primitive. Your mind starts hunting for threats, and it's looking at the most available target, you. This is why, late at night, people suddenly feel like strangers in their own bodies. This is why you can convince yourself you're sick, or cursed or broken, just by staring at your face too long. And yes, there are legends. Mirrors as portals. Mirrors as traps. Mirrors that hold on to something when someone dies. But you don't need a ghost story for this rule to be valid. All you need is this. At 3 a.m., your brain is unreliable, so don't stare. Use mirrors for information, not communion. A quick glance. A quick correction. Leave. Because the longer you look, the more your mind starts auditioning new versions of you. And one of them will look back like it's been waiting. Rule number 3. Don't follow extra doors. This is the rule that sounds insane until it happens to you. Because sometimes, at night, your place feels like it has more rooms. Not literally. Not like the walls moved. More like you notice a door you've ignored 1,000 times. A closet. A storage room. A hallway you never use because there's nothing down there but old boxes and bad decisions. And tonight, for some reason, your attention locks onto it. You tell yourself it's curiosity. You tell yourself you're being silly. But your body knows the truth. You're being called. Not by a spirit, by a thought. The thought that says, what if something is different? What if I open it and it's not what it used to be? What if there's a reason I never go in there? The night does this. It frames your own home like a mystery. It turns your normal life into a horror movie with a low budget and a high imagination. The rule isn't never open doors. The rule is, don't open doors you don't need. Because need is a boundary. Need is reality. But just to see is how you volunteer for experiences. If you feel that pull, if you feel your attention magnetized toward a door, you normally ignore, do not reward the feeling. You don't walk toward it. You don't touch the handle. You don't stand there imagining what's on the other side. Because even if the other side is nothing, you've taught your brain a lesson. You've taught it that fear is a compass. And once fear becomes a compass, it will guide you everywhere. Rule number 4. Don't answer unknown numbers after 3 a.m. During the day, an unknown number is a scam. At night, it's a test. Because at night, your brain is already in the right environment for a story. You're alone, you're quiet, you're receptive. And the world is mostly asleep, meaning, if something happens, there are fewer witnesses. So when the phone buzzes at 3:17 a.m. and you see unknown caller, you feel it, don't you? That little electric line up your spine. You think about all the normal explanations. Wrong number. Automated call. A friend using a new phone. But you don't really believe them. Not in that moment. Because the real fear isn't that it's a ghost. The real fear is that it's someone who knows you're awake. Someone who can see you in your lit-up room like a fish in a tank. And yes, the internet has its legends. Calls from dead contacts. Voicemails that are just breathing. Texts that say something only one person would know. But again, you don't need the supernatural for this rule to protect you. Because the night changes your decision-making. At 3 a.m., you are emotionally compromised. You are a tired animal holding a glowing rectangle. And if you answer, you give the moment a second layer. You invite it to become real. So don't. Let it ring. Let it pass. And if it's important, the day will bring it back with proof. Night calls want one thing. Your attention. And attention is expensive. It costs sleep. It costs peace. It costs the ability to believe your home is safe. Don't pay. Rule number 5. Don't go outside just to see. This is how every story starts. It's always the same. You hear something. A thump, a faint scrape. A sound that's too deliberate to be the house settling and too soft to be a break-in. You look through the blinds, porch light, empty street, and then your mind does the thing it loves most. It writes a script. Maybe it was an animal. Maybe it was a person. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was. And then your body moves. Not all at once. Small movements first. You stand. You walk to the door. You touch the lock. You consider the chain. And you tell yourself the most dangerous phrase in the English language. I'm just going to check. No. At 3 a.m., the outside world is not a normal place. The outside world is a stage with the lights off. You can't see who's watching. You can't see who's waiting. You can't see the full shape of anything. Even if there's nothing out there, you'll still lose. Because you'll come back inside with your heart racing, senses turned up, imagination armed. You will spend the next hour listening harder. So here's the alternative. If you need to check, check safely. Look through the peephole. Look through a camera. Turn on lights. Make noise. Claim space. But don't step out into the dark like you're being summoned. The night loves curiosity. Curiosity is how it gets volunteers. And you don't want to be a volunteer for whatever the darkness is offering. Rule number 6. Don't scroll past the void. Everyone has done this. It's 2:48 a.m. You tell yourself you'll wind down. You open your phone. You scroll. 1 video. 2. 10. And somewhere in the algorithm, you cross a border. The feed gets weird. Not obviously weird. Not horror movie weird. Just empty weird. You start seeing posts with no likes. Accounts with no faces. Comments that feel copied and pasted from other comments. Smiles that look too symmetrical. Stories that don't end. The internet after midnight feels like a mall after closing. All the lights are on, but nobody is inside. A place designed for crowds, now echoing. This is the modern haunting. Not a ghost in a house. A ghost in a system. A sense that you're not interacting with people anymore. You're interacting with a machine that knows how to keep you awake. And the most dangerous thing about it is that it works. Because it feeds your insomnia the way a casino feeds your addiction. Little wins, little shocks, little mysteries. Just enough to keep you scrolling. So the rule is simple. When the feed turns hollow, stop. Don't chase the weirdness like it's entertainment. Don't click part 2. Don't read the replies under the post that feels like it was written by something that doesn't blink. Because at 3 a.m., you don't have filters. You don't have emotional armor. You absorb. And what you absorb becomes your dreams. Or worse, it becomes your thoughts when you're trying to sleep. Don't scroll past the void. The void scrolls back. Rule number 7. Don't test the superstition. This rule exists because humans love experiments. We love pushing buttons just to see what happens. And at 3 a.m., superstitions become buttons. Say this name 3 times. Knock on wood. Don't step on cracks. Don't look out the window at the exact moment the streetlight flickers. Don't play that song. You know these are irrational. But you also know that the night makes irrational things feel reasonable. Because superstition is a cheap form of control. If you do the ritual, you feel safer. If you avoid the ritual, you feel exposed. And that's how it traps you. First you avoid something because why risk it? Then you start believing the avoidance matters. Then your brain starts connecting dots. You spill salt, and your mind thinks, what did I just invite? You forget to do the ritual, and your mind thinks, what did I just allow? This is how a person slowly becomes haunted without a ghost ever showing up. They build the haunting inside themselves. So here's the real rule. Either ignore superstitions completely or respect them completely. But don't test them. Testing is a form of belief. Testing is saying, I think there's a chance this is real. And if you give your fear that much oxygen at 3 a.m., it will burn. The night doesn't need demons to ruin you. It just needs you to participate. There's a group of people who understand all of this better than anyone. Night shift people. The ones stocking shelves under fluorescent lights. The ones wiping down counters while the world sleeps. The ones in empty hospitals, empty lobbies, empty trains. They live in the hours the rest of us treat like a forbidden zone. And if you ever talk to them, you notice something. They don't romanticize it. They don't say the night is magical. They don't say it's peaceful. They say it's different. Because when you spend enough time in the dark, you realize the truth. The night isn't evil. It's honest. During the day, society covers everything with noise. Schedules, conversations, sunlight, errands, traffic, constant motion. At night, the noise stops. And what's left is whatever was under the noise the whole time. Regret. Loneliness. The weird feeling that your life is moving and you're not holding the steering wheel. That's why people dread 3 a.m. It's not a witching hour. It's a reckoning hour. It's the hour where your brain asks questions you can't answer quickly. And because you can't answer quickly, you feel powerless. And when you feel powerless, every shadow looks like a threat. So if you're awake right now, understand this. Your fear might not be about ghosts. It might be about your life. And the night is just the only time you can hear yourself admit it. Eventually, the night begins to change. Not all at once. Not dramatically. Just subtly. The darkness thins. The air feels less sealed. You hear one bird make a stupid decision and start chirping early. And that's when a new emotion shows up. Panic. Because 3 a.m. fear is one thing. But the approach of morning is a different kind of horror. Morning means consequences. Morning means remembering. Morning means returning to the world that expects you to function. The false dawn is the worst part of insomnia. Because now you're not just tired. You're losing. You start doing math. If I fall asleep right now, I get 2 hours. If I fall asleep in 20 minutes, I get 1 hour and 40. You bargain like sleep is a person you can negotiate with. You promise things you won't keep. You swear you'll fix your life tomorrow if your body just gives you unconsciousness for free. But the sun doesn't care. The sun rises like a machine. And when it does, the night's power breaks. The shadows become harmless. The house becomes a house again. The mirror becomes a mirror again. The hallway shrinks back to normal, and you realize something cruel. Nothing was chasing you. You were just alone with your mind. And for a few hours, your mind didn't feel like it belonged to you. So those are the rules. Not because the night is alive. Not because your house is haunted, but because you are human. And humans are easiest to influence when they're tired, quiet, and alone. If it's still dark where you are, do something simple. Turn on a light, drink water, put your feet on the floor. Remind your body that you exist in a real room, in a real world, on a real night. But if you aren't ready to go back to reality yet, if you prefer the static, then you belong here. Subscribe to The Wasted Time, because they say wasting time is a sin, but at 3 a.m., wasting time is the only thing that keeps the silence away. Join us. We post the things you think about when you can't sleep. And if you're still with me right now, leave a comment with one word: awake. No context. No explanation. Just proof. Because at this hour, proof matters. If you want more stories, more rules, more things that shouldn't be happening in quiet places, click the playlist on your screen. Just remember, don't check the time twice. Don't stare in mirrors too long. And don't go outside just to see. Subscribe to The Wasted Time. Good night, or good luck.